I go by the name of Amir Junaid Muhadif, formerly known to many of y'all, or some of y'all, preferably all of y'all, formerly known as Loon from Bad Boy Records. And I accepted the religion of Islam in 2008 in December while traveling in the UAE. Many of you may be familiar with my journey to Islam, but for those of you who haven't been fortunate enough to hear my story, InshaAllah, this will be another opportunity to establish that beautiful transition in my life where I changed from Loon to Amir. Now my journey started way before I entered the music business. You know, many of you may not be able to identify with my life before the music business. I was born and raised in New York City. Born and raised in one of the worst cities in America in regards of crime, violence, drug epidemics, you name it. And this was an environment that I was born and raised in only by default. Meaning I did not make the choice to grow up in this kind of environment. I did not have a choice to grow up in this environment. But unfortunately, this was my origin. This is where everything started for me. And as many of you know, New York City is a very diverse place. New York is filled with many different races, many different cultures, many different ethnicities. Very diverse. So growing up in New York City, I've always been exposed to many different walks of life. They say if you live in New York, you don't even need a passport. Every country or every race in the world, there's a handful that lives in New York City. But for me, being exposed to drugs and violence at a very early age, as I grew, I involved myself in this very epidemic. Meaning I contribute to a lot of the mischief in my community in regards to drugs and violence. I've lost many friends to drugs and violence. I've lost family members to drugs and violence. So living in this harsh reality, many of us try to find the best of ourselves, and we try to utilize that in order to escape this harsh reality. Whether it be you play basketball, play baseball, might even be a smart kid. So academically you achieve things that, may help you escape to go to a college that's outside of, this type of environment. But for me, I discovered that I had the ability to write. I discovered I had the ability to write. And I use this writing as a therapeutic method to mentally escape the harsh realities of the streets of New York City. But once I got to the end of the last line, reality would sit in, and the fact would still remain that I was stuck in Harlem, New York City, surrounded by drugs and violence. But alhamdulillah, by Allah's permission, I was able to propel into success by using this ability to write. And by using this ability to write, I was able to write maybe over 52 top 10 hit records. I sold maybe over 7 million records worldwide. Alhamdulillah, I'm on my 3rd passport. I done traveled to all 4 corners of the globe due to the success that came with writing. By having this ability to write, I used it to try to show the best side of myself. And the best side of myself was the respect that I had for the woman. So I wrote a lot of commercial songs. Songs like I Need a Girl, you know, Down for Me, you know, Hit the Freeway. Everything I did, I tried to exercise the best part of me. Because if you really pay attention, my name is Loon. Loon is not a name of a romantic person. You know? If you complete it, my nickname was Looney. And for my Arab-speaking brothers, that's Majnoon. I would be Brother Majnoon. So to try to expose the best side of myself, I showed the respect and appreciation that I have for the woman. Because I was raised by a woman. My grandmother raised me, you know. My mother, she was a product of the streets as well. So was my father. So was my grandfather. So I'm generations deep into what a lot of you young brothers and sisters today call, you know, the street life or this gangster paradise dream, whatever y'all see it as, you know. I never saw it that way because it was something that I was stuck with. I wasn't trying to imitate anything. I was only following those who had major influence in the community. And not so much following, trying to find my way to be the next generation of negative influences. So like I said, you know, the success that came with the music business, it started to override my initial intention of entering the business. Because many of you don't know, I left my home when I was 15. I became a father at 16. My oldest daughter is 19 years old. She's in her second year of college. So I didn't have time, you know, to sit in front of the computer all day. I skipped those childhood moments that a lot of y'all take for granted. I didn't have that. Riding up to my friend's house on a bike, calling them out the window to come play. I didn't have time to play. I had to get Pampers, man. I had to get milk. You know, I had responsibilities. I had someone that was depending on me when I was learning how to depend on myself. I was a kid raising a kid. But it taught me responsibility. And not only that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stuck me with a girl the first time. Show you how bad I needed a girl, right? I think Allah answered that before the song. But alhamdulillah, you know, it taught me a lot. It taught me how to be a man. It taught me how to be responsible. After all of that was done, this is where I started to get engulfed with the lifestyle that came with the success. This is the part where I started to deal with, you know, people who submitted themselves to the will of my success. This is when people always wanted something from me. Women always approach me sometimes with no haya. And this is what I was getting accustomed to. And this vulnerability that came with this approach, after a while, you start to take advantage of it. You start to take advantage of the guy who's just very zealous to meet you. You kind of look down at him. He becomes kind of annoying now. I'm getting sick of y'all, man. Like, what? Hey, could you sign my... You know, women would approach you. You start to gradually lose respect because it's so consistent. But what hit me was I had to start realizing that I'm doing this to somebody's daughter. Like I'm doing this to somebody's sister. I'm doing this to somebody's little brother. And a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, through my journey, I was trying to find peace that I could not find by spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on cars and jewelry and things like this. You know, it was still an emptiness that I could never fill. And being around other multi-millionaire people, I started to see that they shared this same emptiness. But see, what you see in the videos, every time you watch these 3-minute and 42-second frames of us glorifying life, you know, Loon coming out of the pool, out to be loud with no shirt on, coming out of helicopters, riding motorcycles, riding cars, Na'udhu naked women all over poolside. You know, people was drawn to this. People thought that this was the life. People was looking at these videos saying to themselves, these guys must not have a problem in the world. SubhanAllah, look how he's smiling. Like his cheekbones must be sore. They just smile all day. These people got to be happy. But the reality of it is, when that red light is off, the real deal comes out. The reality that doesn't make the music business or the entertainment business look good. This is the reality that's kept away from you, because it's only forged so you can be drawn to it. So anyway, back to my journey to Islam. Growing up in New York City, I was always well aware of the Muslim. Okay, the Muslim was not invisible to me. I knew who the Muslim were. And to show you how jahil I was, I called every Muslim Muhammad. SubhanAllah, Muhammad, what's up, Muhammad? What's up with your brother Muhammad? I seen little Muhammad the other day. How he doing? Oh, okay. That's what's up, Muhammad. I was jahil. All the Yemenis brothers that own the local, grocery stores, I was cool with them, They was my brothers in the struggle. Because that's how I looked at everybody in the community. Y'all my brothers in the struggle, you know what I'm saying? Everybody here, we got something in common. We trying to survive. So we all got our little defense mechanisms, You got happy people walking around with their face balled up like they mad all the time. The Yemenis brothers, they like 5'3", standing on crates behind the counter, trying to look like they tall, talking tough, hat to the back. Yo, what up, Shad? Looking at him like, SubhanAllah, look at this guy. They got pictures of 4-year-olds on the wall holding AKs and stuff. So you come in there like, man, I'm not stealing a bag of chips out of this joint, B. Because if Shorty got an AK, SubhanAllah, you know what the owner got. The owner probably got some heat-seeking, like, you don't know what he got. And these was the methods that was utilized in order to survive. Because you couldn't be soft. You couldn't be soft in this environment. You understand? Alhamdulillah, you had the Pakistani brothers, they owned all the pharmacies. I visit many universities and seen like all the Pakistanis is majoring in medical, pharmaceutical. So now I understand. It's like, okay, they ran all the pharmacies. And all the African brothers, they own all the cab services. MashaAllah. Yeah, MashaAllah. So this was the impression that I had growing up in my community. This was the Muslims to me. I never knew nothing about Islam. I never seen, may Allah guide them. I've never seen them practice Islam. But I knew that they were Muslims. You know what I'm saying? They knew who we were. We were the dudes on the corner. We didn't have really like an ethnic identity, unless it was the N-word, But we was the guys on the corner. And it would be funny, like, the Yemeni brother would close up the store and come out on the corner and do some of the things we did. So we never looked at, faith as being, a distinction between us. It was just, they was the Muslims, we was the N-words, and Africans. They was just African. We didn't know nothing about Somali, Ethiopia. Y'all was all African to us. We didn't know no better. We was Jahil. If you came from that continent, you were African to us. That's it. And we thought we was African American. These titles, you don't understand that this meant a lot to us, because this was the only way we was able to distinguish with, the different ethnicities in our community. And alhamdulillah, even the Asian people, they had all the laundromats in the Chinese restaurants. So growing up, I was well aware of the presence of the Muslim, but I never saw Islam. Never saw Islam on them. I saw a lot of myself, you know. So like I said, it never struck a chord with me. And none of them never talked to us about Islam. Wallahi, it was times I would come into the store and probably be short on money for Pampers. Most of y'all would seize that opportunity to give dawah, right? I need something from you. I'm short $2. Right now, you can beat me down with Islam. I'm going to eat it up because I need the Pampers. But these opportunities wasn't taken. So this is what it was. So it took for me to obtain this certain level of success that enabled me to travel the world. It enabled me to travel the world. And when I traveled the world and got outside of America, I started to see more images of the Muslim. And gradually, to the end of my journey, Islam started to come out of these images and these characteristics and these mannerisms. Because no one ever gave me dawah. No one never talked to me about Islam. So it took me visiting Senegal, you know what I'm saying? Visiting Cote d'Ivoire, visiting Morocco, visiting Kazakhstan, visiting China. I saw Muslims in China. And this is when I was starting to see the diversity in Islam. Like, this is not, it's not an Arab religion. Because I grew up watching cartoons. It was Alibaba and the 30 Thieves, and I didn't know. Every time you thought of a Muslim, you thought of an Arab. And I think this is something that many people are ignorant to. SubhanAllah, it's true. You know? I remember an episode of Woody Woodpecker when the man gave the Sultan, he gave his wife or his daughter to Woody Woodpecker. As soon as she moved the niqab, her teeth was like a xylophone. Like, these was the twisted images, the tainted images that we had of Islam. So like I said, I had to go outside the box to start seeing gradually the Muslim practicing the religion. Instead of going down blocks like America that has 17 churches just for a mile radius, I'm going to places where there's a masjid or massages everywhere. I seen a man prostrate his face on the floor, blew me away. I'm like, what is this dude doing? He putting his face on the floor. And this is how I made my money. I ain't gonna put my money on the floor. This is how I was feeding my family, from my face. I'm jeopardizing my career if I put my face on that floor. Then you go to other places and you start to see more and more different characteristics. I remember I went to Kazakhstan, I hung with the president of Kazakhstan. I remember asking him, yo, how you say what's up in your language? Like, how you say what's up? I'm Jahil, he the president, I mean nothing. Like, how you say what's up? He said, Salam alaikum. Like, come on. I'm looking at him like, nah, B. Nah, yo. You look Chinese. I got my ears all geared up for you to say something else. Something else. I'm preparing myself. I didn't even clean my jaw. I gotta hear how you say what's up. How you say what's up? Salam alaikum. And this is when I start seeing, like I said, the diversity. That this greeting was something that was universal. I thought what's up worked everywhere. Like, what up? I thought that was universal. Or the peace sign, or, I'm Jahil. So I remember doing this song with a Lebanese artist by the name of Masadi. When I did this song with Masadi, this for the first time I started getting invited to Muslim countries. Because you got to understand, coming from America, in that business, we only target secular places. We only target the Frances and the UKs and the places that we know we're going to be embraced and our lifestyle is going to be embraced as soon as we land. Soon as we land, we know the welcome wagon is there. Brother and me, I got this for you, I got that for you, got a couple of girls, yeah, we ready for you. You don't think this is going to happen in no Muslim country. You understand? Especially what they show you on the news. I'm saying to myself, they must going to have a bulletproof plane. I'm going to get out the bulletproof plane to a bulletproof car. They're going to put me in a bulletproof hotel. These are the images I seen. So anyway, by him not inviting me, the brothers found me. Qadr of Allah, they found me and invited me. So I came to Muscat, Oman, I came to Abu Dhabi, came to Dubai. And like, this is when I started seeing stronger images of the Muslim. And this is when I started to gradually identify with Islam. So I remember getting there, and the first stop was Dubai. So you know already, I'm getting off the plane, I'm like, this looks like Las Vegas. This does not look like no Muslim country. I'm kind of comfortable now. I'm like, man, I'm seeing big buildings, lights, Bentleys. I'm like, oh, Muslims doing it big. Wow, you know, I thought only Puff and Jay-Z and all of them had Bentleys. I didn't know the Muslims had Bentleys. But when I went to Abu Dhabi, you know, it was a little bit more, for lack of better words, you know, it was a little bit more, you know, religious in the aspect, in regards of image and everything. Because for a person that didn't know anything, this was my first time seeing brothers in all white, smiling. Like, wow. Because I'm Jahil. You know, we thinking when you die, that's when you see people in all white smiling. You know? Come on, y'all seen it in the Tupac video, right? I ain't mad at you. He was dead and they was in, you know, Red Fox, everybody was in heaven wearing white. And I just go to show you that that was the mentality of, you know, the non-Muslim. We think that when you die, you rise up to heaven. You know, there's a guy at the podium. He's like the host of heaven. He's looking at you like you made it. You know, your space is over there. That's what you think. But I was very much awake. I was very much alive. And I saw this image. I seen all the women covered. I'm like, wow, do you understand how many years of my life I seen half-naked women running around? This first time to see women that were modest and that was covering their modesty, even at that point not even understanding why. It just commanded a respect. It's like, subhanAllah, look at that. They covered. Be honest, even as a, you know, jahil as I was at the time, it made me more interested. Like, wow, I want to know what's going on behind it. Because everybody else got their stuff all out. It ain't no mystery. You ain't got to think about what's behind the closed door. You know, it's already open. The door is open. And this is what y'all don't understand, sisters, and I'm going to get to that later in regards of modesty. Brothers as well. You understand? So that was like the first image of Islam that I seen, like, you know, full steam. Like, wow, they going hard. This is some different kind of, you know, Muslims here. And I remember the brothers taking me, you know, to a brother house. Humble brother, nice humble establishment. Wasn't what I was used to. You know, at the time I was used to certain things. I come in the brother house. He had a nice little modest establishment. As soon as I come in, the first thing he said was, "Fadl, sit." So I look around like, that's the best seat in the house. You gonna give me that seat? Because I know how it was in my house. My reception area was sacred to me. My son will tell you, I used to check for butt prints to see if anybody sat in my chair. You know? For lack of better words, I was kind of stingy when it came to certain things in my life. Not everything, but certain, my chair. This man let me sit in his chair. He said, "Hey, Father, sit." So I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow. Everybody else look uncomfortable. I'm comfortable. Like, man, this is nice. And he just started giving me stuff. Here, Father, here, drink. Here, have this. And here, come on, have this, have that. Yeah, come on, alhamdulillah. You never have this. So I'm standing there in this comfortable chair. I got drinks, I got dates, I got books, I got all this stuff in my arms, and I'm looking at this guy, and I'm looking at the brothers that brought me. I'm like, what is wrong with him, man? Why is he giving me all this stuff? And I'm like, yo, the brother give me anything else, he got to move in with me, man. What do you want to do? And my point is, I never seen this kind of hospitality. You would think being around the individuals I was around, hospitality was like nothing. Like, come on, multi-millionaires? Hospitality should be nothing. But I wasn't receiving this at the height of my career, not that kind of hospitality. You know why? Because it was a motive behind it. This guy ain't had no motive. He wasn't hooking me up so I could hook him up later. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, Loon, remember me? +3, VIP later, right? You know? It wasn't the hookup move. Y'all know about that? The hookup move. It's like, yo. And sometimes brothers be so grimy, they can count what they gave you. You remember I gave you 4 dates, 2 juices, and 3 books. That was me, you know? Like, wallahi, I thought it was a gift. I thought, you know, this is what I was used to. People counting. They get mad when you tell them no, and they start telling, but what about the 6 bottles of champagne? You're like, you was counting? That's how you know there's a motive behind that kind of giving. This man ain't have no motive. He was doing it for the sake of Allah. That was his motive. SubhanAllah. So the next time any of you decide to give, ask Allah to purify your intention. Do it for the sake of Allah. Because that right there, with no prior understanding of Islam, that even hit me. Then I remember going to the souk. I'm going to the marketplace between Law and Asa. Now I'm from New York. You can get a tuxedo at 3 in the morning, man. Everything is open 24 hours. I'm in this place and everything is shut down. So I'm like, SubhanAllah, what's going on? Like, I asked the brother, like, yo, what's going on, dog? You know, I got money, I'm trying to spend something. Like, what's up? He's like, nah, everyone's taking a Sunnah nap. Sunnah nap? Why you whispering? Like, what do you mean Sunnah nap? We grown men. Grown men don't take no naps. Like, what kind of place is this? I mean, everybody, it's like synchronized. They got together and just said, we're going to take a nap now? Because, I mean, if you're thinking like a businessman, this is when you open up your store, right? Everybody go to sleep. I'm open for business. Yes, can I help you? Like, you know, and I seen some like little humble establishments where they had, you know, like a table with a blanket over it. You know, like a rock on this side holding the blanket down. And once again, I'm from New York. I'm like, yo, if I had a few dudes with me, yo, we clean this joint out. Like, I mean, the dude just did this and went 5 miles away to go to sleep. Like, who does that? In New York, when we get out, we put the lawnmower and the club on the tire just to go in the store. You understand? We lock our whole car, the wheel and everything. You understand? Just to walk 10 paces to the store. These guys did this and walked 5 miles away to go sleep. Now, what kind of trust or treaty y'all got? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what paper y'all signed? Y'all agreed and said, we just want to respect everybody. Everybody gets sleep. You know, if you're tired and you're sleepy, you know, in this moment. Are you kidding me? And then I remember the first time I heard the adhan. I was sold from that point. I mean, at that point, my heart and everything was just racing. And I just couldn't understand. I mean, everything just came almost full circle at that point. It wasn't the grand finale quite yet, but at that point, everything was coming together. It was making absolute sense now. Like, you know what? This call to prayer. SubhanAllah, I used to spend hours in the studio. I'm talking about 17 hours. Sleep. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 3 couple hours, get back up, eat, and be back in the studio, doing this repeatedly, trying to write hit records and make songs that will make people respond to my music. But when I heard this call of prayer and how it commanded the attention of the people, I mean, every record I ever wrote was whack to me. It wasn't even 3 verses and a hook like I was used to writing. It was just a simple call to prayer, a simple call to success. Got home. I remember standing on the balcony. I was in the Emirates Palace Hotel. Nice place for Loon's salary, not for Brother Amir, but, you know, for Loon, it was a nice place, you know. It's like the only 7-star hotel in the world. SubhanAllah, they had a butler button, like you press it and before you take your finger off, and like the dude slide up, like, you know, can I help you? Like, I was still thinking about what I wanted while I was pressing the button. Like, you know what I mean? But I remember overlooking the balcony, overlooking the Arabian Sea, birds flying. And that's what sealed the deal, because I'm like, man, I just, at that moment, reestablished a whole new appreciation for creation. Because in my line of work, the sun was just light in the day. The moon hit the club. You know, the moon come out, it meant, you know, time to go to party. These things never played no real significant role in my life. But these things control many of y'all lives. The sun determined when you worship your Lord. But the reality of it is, I developed a whole newfound respect and appreciation for creation when I seen the sun rising over the Arabian Sea, birds flying. And I remember, consuming this vibe that came with this vision. And I remember when I went to close the balcony doors and turn around and get in my bed, and them same 3 birds that was flying way out looking like mosquitoes, they landed on the balcony. And I ain't scared of nothing, It's just like when they landed, I was like, yo, that don't make no sense, because I didn't see no other birds. I just seen those birds, and they was like way out. Can't nothing fly that fast. I don't know, what was this? And this is when something changed in my heart. Something really took place that I cannot explain in detail. I gave up trying to, like, a long time ago. But whatever it was, I knew that only maybe a Muslim can explain it to me. So I ran down to the lobby of the hotel. First Muslim I seen, I ran up on him. I said, listen, yo, how could I become a Muslim, yo? He looked at me like, what do you mean you want to be a Muslim? I said, I want to be a Muslim. How you become a Muslim? He said, you want to be a Muslim? I said, that's what I said, man. I want to be a Muslim. I'm content with trying to suffice this feeling, but at the same time, there's a certain kind of bashfulness that comes with it, because you're asking for something that you've been, something is instilled in you that tell you this is right. You still don't know why, but something is telling me this is right. So I asked to be a Muslim. This man said, it's simple. You say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Muhammadan Rasulullah. So I sat there and I said exactly what he said. And I stood there and I just waited, like, and he looking at me, and I'm like, yo. Like, what's up? That's it? We go shopping now, right? I get one of them joints, because the Emiratis, they got the joint with the little string on. I was like, I get one of them outfits now? Or you go dip me in the water while I take a shower? It got to be something more. Because I was silly, I ain't gonna lie, but I knew that, it was something that came with that testimony. That simplicity that came with that testimony was real to me. And I wanted it all, so I wanted to make sure I got it all, not just that. Like, that's it. You can't tell me that's it. It gotta be more. He said, no, Kalas, you're a Muslim. I said, I'm a Muslim. He said, no, you're a Muslim. So I'm like, I'm a Muslim. Wow. And I remember just feeling like I did something really right. Because there have been times in my life I thought I did right before. I thought I did right. And sometimes the results would come back later and it wasn't so right. But at that moment, without an explanation or anything, I felt 110,000% that I did the right thing. I know I did the right thing. But a lot of times I don't explain this part, but I took my shahada again when I went home just to make sure. So basically, to start the work towards the conclusion of this story, alhamdulillah, we've been able to connect and, we understand each other a little bit more, because y'all are my brothers and sisters in Islam, you know what I'm saying? But the beautiful thing about it is, no one ever talked to me about Islam. As I came into this theater, I'm seeing books and pamphlets and all this information that never came to me. So when we say it in the beginning of the talk, Yahdi Allahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu, we're saying whomsoever Allah chooses to guide, no one can lead them astray. And whomsoever Allah chooses to lead astray, no one can guide. So when you look at the religion of Islam today and how is this the fastest growing religion in the world with no marketing or promotional vehicle, you understand? You don't have buses riding by with a man on it like... You understand? You don't turn on the TV and there's a man saying, you can buy a prophecy for $14.99. If you ask now in 3 installment payments of $3.99, you can get your... There's no sales pitch to this religion. You understand? And the numbers are only increasing. Minus all the propaganda, the slander, and everything that would elude a person from investigating what is Islam. What is this religion that's growing so fast? But for me, by Allah's permission, it came by way of you, the Muslim. You understand? From the least favorable images to the best images. So if it wasn't for the good mannerisms and characteristics of the Muslim, I would not have been intrigued by Islam. So I say this to say as a reminder to myself and a reminder to every last one of you, my brothers and sisters in Islam, is that be mindful on how the way you conduct yourselves. Be mindful how you conduct yourselves. Because the whole time, people was watching me on TV, some risking their very lives to have some of the things we had on TV. Some of the sisters wanted to remove themselves from a place of modesty to look like some of the women that was in my videos on TV. A'udhu billah. But the whole time all that was taking place, I was watching you. I was watching you. So while y'all sitting here making dua for 50 Cent and y'all want all these rappers, don't think they ain't already watching you. But only Allah knows what they're getting from what they're seeing. But what bothers me the most is, by the show of hands that went up, the ones that are born and raised Muslim, you know, Allah blessed you before you can even open your mouth, before you even knew what a TV was. You came from the womb of a Muslim. This was decreed for your safety from the very beginning, for you to be born and raised in an Islamically sound, safe, and secure environment. So who removes themselves from that environment to place themselves in danger? So those of you who raise your hands, born upon this truth, born upon this blessing that been bestowed upon you before you even could, recall anything, before you knew how to say Abi, before you knew how to say Ummi. Don't compromise that. Stop making the excuse. Ain't no laws in Australia say you can't pray. You find something that's legislated that said you can't pray, and I'll shut up. But until you find something legislated in the laws that governs this country that says you can't practice your deen, then stop making that excuse. But I can't sit up here and keep saying you take the religion for granted. Knowing that Allah continuously shows His mercy every day by restoring air and life in your body every time you wake up. Some of y'all don't even wake up for Fajr. Some of y'all wait till like the sun is completely out to offer these 2 rak'ah like you're doing Allah a favor. You know? I was in darkness, yo. You was born in the light. And any other person that raised their hand and reverted to this religion can understand. We didn't have no understanding of what was true. We knew that there was one. Why? Because we're created to know that. We created to know that there's only one God. We know that instinctively. That was another mercy upon all mankind, not just Muslims, everybody that He ever created. He put that in us to know that there's only one. So I say this to say, be mindful how you conduct yourselves. Be grateful that you're a Muslim.